Hey guys, it's Ankit Kumar and welcome to my YouTube channel Tech Talks with AK. Today I'm going to start with 100 JavaScript interview questions with answers. As per Stack Overflow, there are almost 70 to 80% chance you would have used JavaScript in your career if you are a software engineer. So why JavaScript is so popular or why JavaScript is so important? JavaScript is a programming language used primarily by web browsers to create dynamic and interactive experience for the user. Most of the functions and applications that make internet indispensable to modern life are coded in some form of JavaScript. That's why JavaScript is so important. First questions what can be asked in interview is what is JavaScript? Everybody use JavaScript, right? You would have used JavaScript. I use JavaScript. Many other developers in software industry uses JavaScript. But what is JavaScript? It's a bit hard to answer, right? How to answer this? So answer is JavaScript is the most popular web scripting language used for both client-side and server-side development. JavaScript supports object-oriented programming abilities as well as functional programming abilities. JavaScript can be inserted into HTML pages that can be understood and executed by web browsers and most of the devices these days. What are the primitive types in JavaScript? Or explain the various JavaScript data types. Now, if you are working with JavaScript, you would have noticed that when you create a variable, you no need to specify types of any variable. So it's a bit hard to remember what are the primitive types or data types in JavaScript. To answer this, there are almost 6 to 7 primitive types or data types in JavaScript. String, number, boolean, symbol, begin, null, and undefined. These are the primitive data types in JavaScript. So string is single character, multi-character or alphanumerical. What is number? Number, both integer and floating point are belong to numbers. In other language, integer would have called int and floating point numbers would have called float or double or long. But here in JavaScript, they both belong to number. Boolean is a type that represents true or false values. Symbol is an special type of data type in JavaScript which is used to create unique identifiers for object. Big int is also int which represents a whole number larger than 2 raised to the power 53 minus 1. Null is empty, nothing or unknown types of values. Many people confuses with undefined and null. Undefined represents the value is not assigned yet. That is the difference between null and undefined. So undefined value is not assigned yet. Null value has assigned but value is whether empty, nothing or unknown type. Moving to the next question. What is the difference between undefined and null in JavaScript? So undefined is the default value of a variable that has not been assigned a specific value. Undefined is the default value of a function that has no explicit return value. If we say console.log, it returns nothing. So such functions have default value as undefined, or such functions have default return value which is undefined. So undefined is the default value of a property that does not exist in an object. So assigning of undefined value is done for us by JavaScript engine. Now let's understand what is null. So null is a value that represents no value. It means value of a variable is not undefined. It has been defined but it has no value. So null is a value that has been explicitly defined to a variable. It can be empty, nothing or unknown, but some value has been defined for a variable. To understand both null and undefined, we will get an example. For null, we will get an example where readFile method does not throw an error. Let's understand null and undefined by an example. I have defined one variable called undefined var, then const do nothing function empty and it does absolutely nothing. Defined one object which has three keys a, b, b, c and cd. AB has a value tagtalks, BC has a value with AK, CD has a value subscribe, link in bio. Now if I type console log undefined var, which is first line of my program, it will actually print undefined because value of undefined var is not defined yet. If I console log do nothing function, It will also print undefined because there is no explicitly written value for this function, this cost nothing function, because D is not part of this object. Console log find D in some object will return or will print undefined. Let's now see an example for null. When we read a file using file systems method read file, we provide path to file with a callback error with the data. When we log E, it prints null when there is no error occurred. If there is an error occurred, then it will print something. But in case our program has no error, so this line will print null. Next question can be asked, what are the escape characters in JavaScript? Answer is there is only one escape character in JavaScript, which is backslash. We use escape characters backslash while working with special characters such as ampersand, apostrophes, double quotes or single quote. Whatever enclosed within the escape characters get displayed by the JavaScript. If we want to display a special character which has some specific value or some specific task to do, if we want to print that character, we have to use escape character. But there are some additional escape characters available in JavaScript. These are backspace, form feed, new line, carriage return, horizontal tab, vertical tab. These 6 additional escape characters are not in any way executed in the HTML or JS code because these were originally designed for controlling fax machine, teletypes, and typewriters. Next question can be asked, what does the logical AND operator do? Or in other terms, explain logical AND operator in JavaScript. The logical AND operator finds the first false expression it's in operand and returns it. If it does not find any false expression, it returns the last expression from the operands. Logical AND operator actually help us by employing short circuiting to prevent unnecessary work. If we take an example, if we console log false and or logical AND 10 and logical AND empty array, it will print false and it will not check other two operands of logical AND, this 10 and this empty array. If logical AND doesn't find any false, it returns last expression. So in the second command, console log empty, true and 10, it returns 10 because it has not found any false expression before 10. So next question can be about logical OR operator. So question is, what does logical OR operator do, or explain logical OR operator? So answer is, logical OR operator finds the first truthy expression and returns it. It is exactly opposite of logical AND operator. Logical AND operator finds first false expression, it finds first truthy expression. It also employs short circuiting to prevent unnecessary work. Let's take an example. If we print null 10 and undefined, because 10 is the first true value, so it will print 10 or it will return 10. There is a function, for example, print channel name, which accepts name, and there is a variable which is name or tagtalks with AK. If there is a value of name passed, then it will take that value, otherwise it will take tagtalks with AK. When we call this function print channel name, it prints tagtalk with AK because we are passing nothing here in the argument. So next question is, what is the fastest way of converting a string to a number in JavaScript? So answer is, according to MDN documentation. If you don't know about MDN documentation, it is Mozilla's documentation of JavaScript. Link of MDN documentation is provided in description box below. Please find it and go through it. So according to MDN documentation, the unary plus operator is the fastest way of converting a string to a number because it does not perform any operation on the value if it is already a number. It checks whether it's a number or not. If it is not a number, then it will convert into a string. So that's the fastest way. Next question, what are the different types of error name in JavaScript or error name values in JavaScript? There are actually 6 error name values in JavaScript. All of them are, first is eval error. It is thrown when coming across an error in the eval. Newer JavaScript releases doesn't have this. Range error is generated when a number outside the specified range is used. Reference error, it comes into play when undeclared variable is used. Syntax error, when the incorrect syntax is used, we get this error. Type error, this error is thrown when a value outside the range of data type is tried to be used. And sixth is URI error. It is generated due to the use of illegal characters. Next important question of JavaScript is define self-invoking function. Functions that are automatically invoked are termed as self-invoking functions because it has been invoked automatically, or it is invoked by self. So whenever we define function which calls itself, it's called self-invoking function. These are also known as immediate invoked functions expressions or self-executing anonymous functions. The syntax of this type of function is like this. So if we define a function with a function name, then we do something inside it, then we return it, and we put this opening and closing braces immediately after the function definition. So such functions are called self-invoking functions. A function is defined and then invoked. So function has been defined and invoked immediately. However, if there is a need to automatically execute a function at the place where it has been given and not to be called again, then anonymous function can be used. Such functions have no name, so the name is anonymous functions. Next question is explain differences between function declaration and function expressions. Function declaration and function expression can be differentiated in four ways. First way is based on their definitions. A function declared as a separate statement in the main code flow is termed as function declaration. So if we define or we declare a function statement in the main code flow, it is called function declaration. When a function is created inside an expression or another syntax construct, it is called function expression. So it's not actually a function, it's just an expression that works as a function and it has to be called only once. When a function declaration is within a code block in the strict mode, it is visible everywhere inside that block but not outside of it. But this is not the case for the function expression. Third way of differentiating between these two is time of use. So function expression is created when the execution reaches it. The function expression is usable from that moment onwards. But a function declaration can be called before it has been defined. Because we have declared it, we can use it. Fourth way of differentiating between function declaration and function expression is when to use. Function declaration offers better readability and it offers freedom in organizing the code. So when we want our code more readable and we want freedom to organize it, then we use function declaration. But function expressions are typically restricted to be used when there is a need of a conditional declaration. Next question is my favorite. What is the DOM? Everyone would have heard about DOM. So let's understand what is DOM. DOM actually stands for Document Object Model in an interface for HTML and XML documents. So the concept of DOM has come from HTML and XML documentations. When the browser first reads the HTML document, it creates a big object, a really big object based on the HTML document. This is the DOM actually. It is a tree-like structure that is molded from HTML documents. DOM is used for interacting and modifying the DOM structure or specific elements or nodes in HTML or XML document or a web page. Let's understand by the code. So let's see how a DOM tree will be for this document. So we have document, then we have HTML, then we have head has 3 metas and 1 title, then we have body and so on. So a document object model tree or DOM tree will be, for this code, will be like this. So we had a top root which is document, then HTML, then head has 3 metas and 1 title, you can see here. Then HTML has body has one div has one paragraph which has span, then div has label and input. Let's understand what is DOM in JavaScript. So DOM or document object in JavaScript represents the DOM. DOM in JavaScript provides us many methods such as selecting elements or updating elements content and many more. Let's understand few of the functions that it provides. It provides a power that JavaScript can change all the elements in the page. It helps JavaScript to change all the attributes in the page. By the help of this, JavaScript can change all the CSS style in the page. JavaScript can remove existing HTML element and attributes from the page. JavaScript can add new HTML elements or attributes using DOM object or document object. JavaScript can react to all existing HTML events in the page. JavaScript can create new HTML event in the page. These are some of the functions which has been provided by the DOM to the JavaScript so that it can interact with HTML in multiple ways. Next question is, please explain difference between attributes and property. Properties are like instance variable for a particular element. A property can be various data types. Properties are accessible by interacting with the object in Vanilla.js or using jQuery's props method. But attributes are in the HTML. They are similar to properties but not as capable as properties. It is recommended to work with properties rather than attributes if properties are available. Unlike a property, an attribute is of a string data type. What are cookies in JavaScript and how will you create, read, delete a cookie in JavaScript? Cookie is simply data, usually very small data, sent from a website and stored on the user's computer by the browser. It is reliable way for website to remember stateful information and record the user's browsing activity. The most basic way of creating a cookie using JS is to assign a value to the document. So how to assign cookies to the document is document.cookie, and it has key value pairs. It will have key 1 value 1, then key 2 value 2, and so on. Then how to read a cookie? Reading a cookie in JavaScript is as simple as creating read cookie object in the cookie. Use the string whenever you wish to access the cookie. The document.cookie string keeps a list of name and value pairs where a semicolon separates each pair of the values. The name represents a cookie's name and the value represents the cookie's string value. For breaking the string into key and value, you can use split method as well. How to delete a cookie? Deleting cookie is very easy. Just set a past time to the expiration date of that cookie, so it will be deleted. Some browsers don't let you delete a cookie unless you don't specify the cookie's path. So you have to specify cookie's path. So defining a cookie path is very important to ensure that right cookie is deleted. So we have to define deleted.assign to a string value to the document. Next question is, what is event propagation? And the answer is, when an event occurs on a DOM element, that event does not actually occur on that just one element. In the bubbling phase, the event bubble ups or it goes to the parent, then its grandparents, then super grandparents, until it reaches all the way to the window. So whenever an event is triggered by a DOM element, it approaches its parent, then grandparent, then grandparent, then super parent, and it reaches parents until it reaches to the window. While in the capturing phase, the event starts from the window and it goes down to the element where it has been triggered. This process of event bubbling up or capturing down is called event propagation. Event propagation has three phases. Let's look at. You can see on my screen event propagations look like this. In bubbling phase, if it is started from button, it goes to div, then body, then HTML, then document, then window. In capturing phase, it starts from window, then document, then HTML, then body, then div, then button. Third phase is the target phase. So the capturing phase, the event starts from the window, then it goes down to the every element until it reaches the target element. In target phase, the event has reached the target element, so that's the target phase. Bubbling up phase is the event bubble ups from the target and it goes to the parents and the super parent and the again super parent until it reaches to the window, as you can see on my screen. We have just covered event propagation. Question comes, what is event bubbling? As we already know, when an event occurs, it does not occur only on one element. So in the bubbling phase, element bubble ups or it goes to the parent, then grandparent, then until it reaches all the way to the window. So that's called bubbling phase. If event has been started from this child 1, it will go to the parent, then grandparent, and then window. Let's understand bubbling phase of the event propagation by an example. So there is a code which has so many methods. It has add event, which is actually adding an event. So what does it do? The event listener method has a third optional parameter use capture, which has a default value of false. If it has a default value of false, event occur in bubbling phase. If we use true, then event will occur in capturing phase. If we click on the child element, it logs child, parent, grandparent, HTML, document, and window respectively on the console. This whole event is called event bubbling. So next question is, what is event capturing? As we already know, event does not occur only on one element. So in capturing phase, event starts from the window and it goes all the way down to the element that triggered the event. So let's take an example. There is a code which triggers event. So what happens? Add event listener method has a third optional parameter use capture with a default value false. If that default value is false, event will run in bubble phase. But if the capture value is true, then event will occur in the capturing phase. If we click on the child element with the use capture value true, then it logs window, document, HTML, grandparent, and parent, and child respectively on the console. This is event capturing. So next question is, please explain the differences between event.prevent default or event.stop propagation methods. Answer is, prevent default method prevents the default behavior of an element. If this method has been used in a form element, it prevents it from submitting. If it is used in anchor element, then it prevents it from navigating. If used in context menu, it prevents it from showing the menu or displaying the menu. While event.stop propagation methods stop the propagation of an event. It stops the events from occurring in the bubbling or capturing phase. So there will be no event if we use this method. So next question is, how to know if the event prevent default method was used element or not? And answer is very easy. We can use event.default prevented property in the event object. It returns a boolean indicating if the event.prevent default was called in a particular element or not. What is closure in JavaScript? To understand closure, let's take you have defined a variable outside the scope, but you are trying to use that variable inside the scope. So in that situation, closures are created. It gives us access to an outer function's scope from inner function. In other words, a closure is a locally declared variable that is related to a function and stays in the memory when related function has returned. The closure contains all local variables that were in scope at the time of closure creation. This is the basic knowledge of closure. Let's now understand what is closure in JavaScript. Whenever we create a function in JavaScript, a closure is created. To use the closure in JavaScript, simply define a function inside another function and expose it. Let's take two examples, one with closure and one without closure. So how a code look like without closure? You can see on my screen. This is the JavaScript code without closure. With closure, it becomes a bit easier. That's how we create or use closures in JavaScript. Then how we generate closure? We generate a variable with a function called greater or outer function, and that's how we use closure in JavaScript. Just call that variable as a function, tag-talks greater. Next question is, how many ways you can create an array in JavaScript? There are three ways of creating array in JavaScript. Let's understand this with example. So first way is by creating an instance of array. If we define where some array is equal to new array, then it creates array for us. Second way is by creating or by using array constructor. If we say some array is equal to new array, then we define value 1, value 2, and so on, then it creates an array for us. The third way is using array literal. Where some array is equal to square brackets and value inside that, then it creates an array for us. There are only three ways to create array in JavaScript. Our last question for this video, but not for the series, is how will you empty an array in JavaScript? There are actually 4 ways to empty a JavaScript array. First, by assigning an empty array. If you already have an array, array1 which has some values inside it, if we say array1 is equal to empty array, it will actually empty our array1. Then by assigning array.length to 0. If we already have an array and we just say array.length is equal to 0, it will actually empty array. By popping out elements of the array, we can use loop to pop every element of the array. The fourth is by using splice array function. If we have an array, we can use array.splice function and it will empty array for us. That's all for this video, guys. If you found this video useful, please press thumbs up, share with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to get notified about more technical interesting videos from Tech Talks. If you have any question, any feedback for me, or any suggestions to improve my video, please write down below in the comments. Thanks, guys.